Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Josh from 226 Sources. We're custom wheels, custom bike stuff, and a full service bike shop. We do maintenance and repairs as well, right here in Akron, Ohio. Today, we're back on the G.1 Explorer investigation discussion to talk about my thoughts on the bike, talk about what we're upgrading. We'll be talking about this guy right here, and talk generally about what our plans for the bike are and kind of what our springtime plans are that involve this thing. And to start this conversation off, I'd like to address this comment, which is totally valid, but I think may require a little bit of setup to address. I've been talking about this bike in very general terms, and that is because without being judgmental in any way, I think that the demographic for this bike probably doesn't know a whole ton about bikes. And that is fine. Not everybody needs to geek out 24/7 like I do about all of this stuff. That is what I love most about this bike. The word is accessibility. This bike is approachable by almost anyone, whether you are just starting riding seriously for the first time and trying to get outside, whether you haven't ridden for a long time and you're just a little bit out of the loop and trying to get back into it. You're not sure if you're going to stick with it long term. You're not sure if cycling is for you, but you want to try something that looks like it's ready to ride. Whatever the circumstance, it's easy to take a chance on this thing at this price point and just get outside and get going. And that's basically my full opinion. So thanks everybody. See you next video. But seriously though, this comment actually brings up a good point. If I'm gonna buy this for $250 and then dump another $400 into it, well, what could I have gotten for $600? Well, this guy was right. So this commenter brought up two options. He brought up the Poseidon Triton and the Poseidon Redwood. He mentioned them both at $600, but that's not true. If we look over here, the Redwood, that currently is $600, but that's marked down from about $850. At $600, this bike is a phenomenal purchase, but there's a reason that it's marked down because they're blowing out odd sizes. They don't have any small, medium, or large. If they had a medium, I would probably try to buy one for myself right off the top. The Triton is a completely different animal. The Triton is a $1,000 bike. So that's not really in the same strata, and I wouldn't say that that competes with this because I don't think anybody rational is going to dump $800 into this bike and get close to what the Triton offers. Briefly, we can talk about the differences. The Poseidon over here is basically a kind of a drop bar mountain bike. This thing has a 27.5 wheel size, and it is built to take a super large tire. It's built for up to 2.3 inch tires. And further to that, they made a flat bar version. So this thing is basically a mountain bike, and the flat bar version is a little bit less expensive even. But again, they have sold out in the small, medium, large, and extra large. So if you're a very small person, you can take advantage of that. The Poseidon drop bar over here, if you're a very small person, or if you can ride an XL, you can still get in on that. But this is an Advent X group set that is a 1x up front, 1 chainring by 10 speeds in the back. And you can see that the cassette back here has a pretty serious range on it. That's pretty standard for wide range singles. That's great. Here's the Triton over on this side. This is our $1,000 bike. This is a 700C wheel bike, and it claims on the spec here to take a 40 mil tire up front and a little bit less clearance out back. It'll go up to a 37 in the rear. The other differences are that the Triton here has a carbon fork as standard, and it has Microshift sword group, which is a 2x10 as standard. That's actually a phenomenal group. I've put it on a couple other bikes for myself already. It's great. So I wouldn't consider either of these really to be direct competitors for this bike. This is a $250 bike, and it shows when you look at stuff like this. But, and it's a big but, if you can think ahead after you've bought this to how much more money you might spend in upgrades, then you can take that total and just kind of shop around for something like the Redwood, for example. If you could pick that up at $600 in a size that suits you, that's a great purchase. This thing is spec'd out amazing for that price point. And it's this plus $350, $400. That's reasonable. By the time you put a group set on this, if you wanted to do a fork, if you wanted to do a wheel set, you're kind of there. So what's the answer? How much money is reasonable to spend upgrading this thing versus just kind of looking for other bikes? Whether you're comfortable shopping in the used market on Marketplace or Craigslist or wherever in your neighborhood, or whether you want to pick one of these up and actually go through the motions of swapping parts out. Well, the thing is, I can't tell you that because that is for you to decide for yourself. I can tell you what we're going to do, and we're going to start right back here. We're going to start our upgrade path back here because the range on this Freewheel is not that great. The largest cog on this Freewheel is a 26, and a 26 with a 30 up front is not even a 1-to-1 climbing ratio. 1-to-1 would be as if there was a 30 up here and a 30 back here. One rotation of the pedals would be one rotation of the wheels. That's kind of the benchmark for good climbing gears. What you'll see a lot of people talk about swapping out is something called Mega Range. And I am not holding up a Mega Range, I am holding up a Mega Drive. Basically, Mega Range is a Shimano term. Mega Drive is Sunrace's version. It's the same exact thing. I hate these, and that's personal preference. If you like them, that's up to you. But here's why I hate them. You've got a pretty even ramp shifting up larger and larger cogs. And then you've got this ginormous jump to get to the bailout gear. This is a 34, so that's a great climbing gear, especially when paired with a 30 up front. But this size of a jump and freewheel like this should be illegal. And that's why I picked up this guy. So this is also a Sunrace freewheel. I know it says Mega Range on it, but it doesn't have the big jump. You can see, hopefully I can show off, that the ramp gear to gear is fairly even. Let's see if we can show that off better. There we go, that's a little better. The ramp gear to gear is fairly even going all the way up to the top. That may or may not matter to you. So much of this is personal preference. You always get to choose. It is your bike, it is your ride. Fine tune it for you. But as far as fine tuning it for me, why don't we just change this right now? All right, we're reset. Megatron Freewheel is on there. We're ready for some future rides. Before any upgrades though, we did do a ride on this thing in stock form. Basically, we took it out, kind of ran up and down the tow path, did a couple of the hills around here, and it did great. It really hung with the big boys. It was around with a couple of other of our 226 shop bikes, which are definitely more high dollar builds. And it didn't even look that out of place. This bike is phenomenal. Suffered from a bit of limitation in the gear range, especially when climbing back to here. And it wasn't bad. I can usually just beast it, but I was looking for another gear. Overall, in stock form, after being tuned up, getting the brakes right, getting the shifting set up, especially getting the hubs reset so that they spun really free and didn't try to, slow me down constantly. This bike rolls great. It's just under 30 pounds, completely assembled, and on flats, this thing rolls like a steamroller. Nothing can stop it. It just wants to keep moving. It's pretty fantastic for the price. It is pretty unbeatable. That freewheel that we just swapped to is a 1434. It's a Sunrace freewheel. You can buy them through your local bike shop. Retail on them is like 25 bucks, 26 bucks. Very reasonable. If they install it for you, I imagine it's probably less than 40. Your mileage may vary depending on how your bike shop quotes you. If you just want to buy that Freewheel, you could pick it up and change it at home. You will need one of these guys. This is a special tool for getting the Freewheel off of there. You can do this real simply with like an adjustable wrench. You saw me put it in the vise. That's very easy to use. You could do this at home if you try. Because the largest inner cog is bigger, maybe a little bit of derailleur adjustment is going to be called for. What you saw me do in the video is adjust what's called the B limit. That pulls the derailleur away from the cassette a little bit using spring tension that's inside the derailleur, and that just gives room for that extra gear. Didn't have to make any adjustments to the chain, didn't have to do anything else. Just made sure that the derailleur had enough space to allow for the extra size cog. That's it. Whether you go for one like what I showed you or whether you go for one of these mega range guys with the step in it, kind of doesn't matter. Either one of them is going to offer you better range and way better climbing gears than what this stock 1426 Freewheel offers out of the box. I don't ride this as much as you might think. I've got several other bikes that I ride kind of on rotation, a lot more. I'll probably do 1 or 2 more rides on this before the plan that we have coming up. In May, here in Northeast Ohio, we have what's called the Red Eagle Gravel Grinder. If you are anywhere near us, Pennsylvania, Ohio, whatever, maybe even upstate New York, and you can make it to the Red Eagle, May 19th, it runs on the Sunday, and it's a phenomenal gravel race that has 3 different routes. There's a 40, there's a 20, and a 12. It's absolutely a great event, and it's for a good cause. It's for the Stevie G Foundation. They support a lot of cancer research for young people, kids, adolescents. Great cause, great ride, great atmosphere. We as a shop support the event by building a special wheel set, one of our cool carbon wheel sets that's set up tubeless ready, and we have the Red Eagle branding right there on the wheel. Somebody wins one of those out of the raffle every year. If you're curious about that and you want to find it, I'll put a link to that down in the description below. That's through Ohio Gravel Grinders, I think. We'll have the listing and there'll be a sign up page past that. Really consider it if you're close by. It is an awesome event. But I'm going to be riding this in May with that gear set and no other modifications, and we'll see how we do. But for a little while, that's going to be it. That's our opinion. That's our series. This is a good bike. For $250, I am impressed. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I've already ridden it around on a shop ride enough with the boys to get the idea and know that this thing rolls really well. After the Red Eagle Gravel Grinder, what other upgrades might we make past the Freewheel here? Who knows? If you guessed this fork, you might be onto something. No promises, but that certainly is something that should get looked at. Would we go all the way to a carbon fork? I don't know, I doubt it. For the price point, I think it makes a lot more sense to do an aluminum fork. We can still cut about half the weight out of that fork, do it at a really reasonable price, and stay within the scope of what we think is appropriate for this bike. I hope you've got something out of this G.1 Explorer series. Give us a comment, let us know how you're doing with your ride. Let us know if we might see you in May. Thanks for hanging in. See you next time.